roll you to death so he can get to the rim. And for Chima, he's the man who does everything. It's that you can't scout Chima Moneke because he's everywhere. So you've got two players have massive impact on whatever game they play in very different ways. If Tavares plays big minutes, it's hard to see Real Madrid losing, so you try to get him in foul trouble. If Moneke plays big minutes, the same thing. But again, he can get into foul trouble because sometimes he gets a little over-enthusiastic.
So the house lights dipped in the always atmospheric Belgrade arena. A red hue to the arena lighting here tonight, denoting the fact that it is Crvena Zvezda, Red Star, who are the home team tonight.
Yeah, this is a fascinating matchup, Ron. This was the rivalry game for round 5 because we've got to a station where, okay, Crvena Zvezda changed their coach, but they brought back a legend of the club, right? Sasha was a legend as a player. He coached here for a short time in 2020 as well, then before he went to Monaco. He knows the family, he knows the setup, he's a part of the family. Real Madrid, Los Blancos, I don't care who's the reigning champion, this is the team everybody looks at on their schedule. Can we take down Los Blancos? This is a measure of where we are. And having lost game 1 on the road, can they come back on the road and right the wrongs? They lost those 3 games they won 3 on the bounce at home. Then, you know, Maladon was so impressive 2 nights ago. What's going to happen with them next?
12-point win over Olympiacos to start their first victory of the season in round 2, then prevailing over Asvel, Maladon's former club, in round 3. Before that, impressive win over Partizan by 7 earlier this week. But as Martin Henlin has pointed out, all of those wins taking place at the crib in the Spanish capital, as the home team making their way out onto the floor here in amongst pyrotechnic plumes of light and dry ice.
Well, you know, the important thing to note about Real Madrid as well, that game they lost in round 1, they only scored 68 points. They're up above 85 or higher, so look at them offensively tonight. Can they get the high production that they thrive on? As Crvena Zvezda, hey, these at the moment with a new head coach and a couple of new players and a shake to the starting lineup, this is almost an unknown entity that's joined the league now. And this is the whole point, the beauty of this 20-team league is on any given night, you really don't know what you're going to come up against.
Meeting of great coaching minds at the halfway line as coaches Sergio Scariolo and Sasha Obradovic exchanging handshakes and pleasantries in the stadium half-light here at the Belgrade Arena. And what a magnificent sight, as now almost all of the light being provided by the spectators. Before we step into the light and see the orchestrated, synchronized cheering, Coach Sergio Scariolo facing off against Coach Sasha Obradovic for the 3rd time as EuroLeague head coaches, each man taking over their respective teams this season. Sasha Obradovic in the midst of the campaign, of course, but he's got the guys playing together. They've got an underdog mentality. How crucial are those qualities going to be as he continues to mold them to his philosophy?
Well, and he hasn't had much chance to mold anything. You know, you said we'll do some things when we get a single game in a week. He opens with a double week, so there's not much he can actually do other than talk about the kind of things that he wants. We know that Sasha is a very authoritative offensive coach. He allows his players a certain amount of freedom on the court, and he's going to try and rotate. As he said, he's going to get more bodies in the game. You need practice to evaluate who can play. So he's doing some things on muscle memory at the moment, but the players responded. That was a really impressive victory over Žalgiris 3 nights ago.
Though the Zvezda faithful in full voice prior to the opening tip, as is always the case, as the atmosphere continuing to be cranked up by this capacity crowd here. Giant flags up in the stands, every seat occupied, and the energy level positively visceral, making this a spectacle that literally resonates across the basketball world. The atmosphere when the Belgrade teams are playing on home floor. It is something that captures the attention of basketball fans far and wide. They start them young in this part of the world. And I'm not quite sure how much say the youngsters have in which side of Belgrade they're going to choose. Literally born into the birthright as to whether they're going to be Red Star or Partizan. And you have that club for life. There's no changing.
There's no argument with that statement. It's your birthright. You don't get to choose. You know, it's funny how occasionally players defect from one. You know, they grow up in one club system, end up on the other. But fandom, their heart never changes.
So there, a look at the starting lineup. The sole guard, Theo Maladon, 3 forwards in Lyles, Abalde and Gabriel Deck. Eddie Tavares locking down the middle. Zvezda go with an identical lineup in terms of Cody Miller-McIntyre, the only out-and-out guard on the squad, Nikola Kalinic, Jordan Wara and Shima Maneke, the utility forwards, and the middle being locked down by Donatas Motiejunas. So Mehdi Difale, the crew chief of the Three Wise Men, taking charge of this one tonight, and in this cauldron of an atmosphere, even more essential that the players get onto the same page as the officials in terms of how much physicality is going to be permitted.
Well, you know, Chima, it's all about 8th in rebounding. It's not rebounding, it's everything that he does. You know, Eddie Tavares led the league in two-point shooting. That's because he does everything around the rim, which is great. Although he has extended, he's gone past like a meter a couple of times. He's shot a few jump hooks and so on. But I'll tell you what, one of the points that Coach Obradovic made about Real Madrid, he said they get off to big starts. So if you can beat them in the first quarter, you've got a better chance. He doesn't know why. Maybe they just slow up in the fourth quarter. Maybe it's fatigue. So the start of this game, like no other, is going to be of crucial importance, particularly for Crvena Zvezda.
So the 10-second countdown underway as we anticipate the opening tip here at the Belgrade Arena in the EuroLeague Round 5 Game of the Week. Crvena Zvezda, Meridian Bet Belgrade facing off against Los Blancos, and the fans in attendance pogoing in unison.
Just like you and I are. That's what we do before every game, Ron.
So Motiejunas and Tavares contest the opening tip, and it is controlled. Well, Jordan Wara will get the opening bucket courtesy of a goaltend. It was Eddie Tavares who got the tip, but it was Jordan Wara who picked it out of the sky. First trip down